The human ship landed softly on the gray soil of Lyra. 7. The sky was pale yellow, lit by two small suns. Daniel Shaw stepped out first, his boots pressing into the fine dust. He wore a simple gray suit, nothing fancy. Behind him came Chloe Vance, her dark hair pulled back tight, and Marcus Boone, who carried a small case of tools. They were the Earth delegation. For the first time in history, humans had been invited to join the Galactic Council. The conclave spire rose before them, a tall, smooth tower of silver metal. It looked old, older than any building on Earth. No doors were visible. But as they approached, a section of the wall slid open silently. A cool air washed over them, smelling faintly of ozone and stone. Inside, the light was soft and blue. The floor felt warm underfoot. Daniel took a slow breath. This was it. Centuries of watching, learning, and waiting. Earth had solved the Krellian border crisis, not with weapons, but with words and clever ideas. The Council had noticed. Now, humanity had earned a seat, but Daniel felt no triumph, only a heavy weight in his chest. The silence of the spire was too deep, too watchful. They walked down a wide hallway. The walls were bare, reflecting their images like dark glass. Daniel saw himself a man of average height, brown hair going gray at the temples, eyes tired but steady. Chloe walked beside him, her posture straight, her gaze sharp and missing nothing. She was younger than Daniel, quick to see patterns others missed. Marcus brought up the rear, his hands resting lightly on his tool case. He was the quiet one, the thinker, always ready to fix what was broken. "Stay calm," Daniel murmured, more to himself than to them. "Listen first. Speak only when needed." Chloe nodded. "They'll test us. See if we're just loud children or something more." Marcus said nothing. He just tightened his grip on the case. The hallway opened into a vast, circular room. The Galactic Council chamber. 12 tall chairs formed a ring in the center. 11 were occupied. The beings sitting there were unlike anything Daniel had seen in pictures. To the left sat the Vorin. They looked like tall crystals grown into rough human shapes, glowing with soft inner light. Their voices, when they spoke through translator boxes, sounded like rocks grinding together. Across from them, the Nethari floated in a tank of green water. Their smooth, amphibious bodies shifting gently with the current. Their large, dark eyes followed the humans without blinking. Near the back, the Zenthar perched on a high stand. Other species filled the remaining seats, some with many limbs, some barely visible behind shimmering fields of light. All were ancient, their civilizations older than Earth's recorded history. All were watching the humans with quiet intensity. Daniel led his team to the one empty space in the circle. It was not a chair like the others. It stood apart, raised slightly on a low platform. It was carved from a single piece of black stone, cold and smooth. Obsidian, Daniel thought. It shone like a dark mirror, reflecting the blue light of the room and the faces of the council members. But it was empty, waiting. A low hum filled the air. Translator drones, small silver spheres, hovered near each being, ready to change thoughts into words. The lead Voran delegate spoke first. Its voice was slow, deep, filling the space. The people of Earth, you are here. It was not a greeting. It was a statement. A fact stated without warmth. Daniel stepped forward. He kept his voice level, respectful but not weak. The Nathari delegate rippled in its water tank. Bubbles rose around it. Your arrival was unexpected, it said, the words bubbling through the translator. Your species moves quickly. Too quickly, some say. We learn fast, Daniel replied. We adapt. A Zenthar delegate let out a short, sharp sound, like a bird's call. Adaptation is not wisdom. Wisdom comes with time, with patience. Daniel felt Chloe shift beside him. He knew what she was thinking. Patience had let the Sylth refugees die in space just weeks ago. The council had debated their fate for days, while children froze. We respect your time, Daniel said carefully, but we also respect life, all life. The Voran delegate's inner light pulsed slowly. Respect must be earned, through action, through understanding of the balance. The balance? Chloe asked, her voice clear. The balance that leaves refugees to die? A ripple of quiet movement went through the council. The Nethari delegate sank lower in its water. The balance is complex. You do not yet see the whole picture, human. Then show it to us, Chloe said. Let us see. Silence followed. The translator drones hummed louder. The Voran delegate finally spoke. Sit. It gestured toward the obsidian seat. Observe. Learn. When you understand the picture, you may speak. Daniel looked at the seat. It was beautiful and cold. It felt less like an honor and more like a trap. Sitting there meant accepting their rules, their slow pace, their endless debates. It meant becoming part of the silence that let people suffer. But refusing to sit? That could end everything before it began. Earth needed this, needed allies, needed knowledge, needed to prove they belonged among the stars. Daniel turned to his team. Marcus gave a small, almost invisible nod. Sit. See what they offer. Chloe's jaw was tight. Her eyes said, don't trust them. Daniel took another breath. He walked the short distance to the platform. The obsidian seat was simple, with no back, no arms. It was meant for sitting, nothing more. He placed one hand on its surface. It was colder than space, sucking the warmth from his skin. He looked down. His reflection stared back, a tired man in a gray suit, looking small against the vast, ancient room. He sat. The stone was hard and unyielding. It offered no comfort. As he settled, the obsidian surface shifted slightly. It showed not just his face, but the faces of the council members behind him. The Voron's cold light, the Nathari's dark eyes, the Zenthar's sharp beak. They were all there, watching him, judging him. In the black mirror of his seat, the lead Voron spoke again. "You are now a part of the council. You may listen. You may learn. When the time is right, you may speak." "How long is the right time?" Chloe asked, her voice tight. "When you understand the cost of action," the Voron replied. "When you see that every choice breaks something else." Daniel felt the weight of the seat pressing into him. It was not a place of power. It was a place of waiting. A place where decisions were buried under layers of talk. He thought of the Sylth children, their faces on the news feeds back home. How many more would die while the council debated? A Zenthar delegate leaned forward. "Do not mistake patience for weakness, human. We have seen young species rush forward. They burn bright. Then, they are gone." "Earth will not be gone," Daniel said quietly. "We are here to stay. We shall see." The Nathari bubbled. The meeting began. Not with grand announcements, but with small things. A trade dispute between two distant systems. A mining claim on an asteroid belt. And the council spoke slowly, carefully. Words were weighed like precious stones. Hours passed. Daniel listened, his back aching on the hard stone. Chloe took notes on a small pad, her expression unreadable. Marcus watched the translators, his mind clearly working on how they functioned. Daniel saw how it worked. Nothing changed here. Not really. Problems were discussed until they were no longer problems, because they had either fixed themselves or been forgotten. The council managed the galaxy like a gardener tending a slow-growing forest. They pruned only when absolutely necessary. They never planted new seeds. During a pause, Chloe leaned close to Daniel. Her voice was so low only he could hear. "They don't want us here. Not really. They invited us to keep us quiet, to make us part of the machine." "Maybe," Daniel whispered back. "It's nothing if we just sit and watch," she said. "Look at that seat. It's not for sitting. It's for silencing." Daniel glanced down. His reflection in the obsidian looked tired. Yes, but also thoughtful. He saw the Voron delegate watching him in the reflection, waiting. "We need time," Daniel said. "We need to learn their ways." "We don't have time," Chloe said. "People are dying now." The meeting moved to a new topic, a request for aid from a small colony world facing food shortages. The council debated. The Voron spoke of resource allocation protocols. The Nethari mentioned ecological stability. The Zenthar worried about setting precedents. No one spoke of hungry children. No one spoke of sending help today. Daniel felt a slow anger build inside him. It was quiet, but deep, like a stone sinking in water. He looked at the obsidian seat again. His reflection stared back. The faces of the council members hovered behind him in the black surface. They looked calm, patient, certain. Chloe leaned close once more. Her breath was warm against his ear. "They expect us to beg for scraps," she murmured. "To thank them for every crumb." Daniel didn't answer. He just looked at the seat, at the cold, perfect blackness that showed everything and gave nothing back. He thought of Earth, the crowded cities, the green fields, the noisy, messy, fast-moving world of humans. They fixed problems. They didn't just talk about them. He sat very still. His hands rested on his knees. The meeting droned on. The council would not send aid to the colony world. Not yet. They needed more data, more time. Daniel Shaw sat on the Galactic Council, and for the first time, he wondered if sitting was the wrong thing to do. The obsidian seat felt less like a gift and more like a cage built from patience and silence. A cage that kept the world outside, where real people lived and died. He looked at Chloe. She gave a tiny shake of her head. "See?" her eyes said. "This is what they are." Daniel looked back at the black mirror of his seat. His own face looked back at him, tired, thinking. The meeting continued. The council spoke of balance, of patience, of the slow, careful ways of the galaxy. Daniel Shaw sat very still, and he began to plan. Not how to fit in, but how to break free. The days on Lyra, 7, felt long and slow. Daniel Shaw woke each morning to the same pale yellow sky. He ate the same tasteless nutrient paste provided by the council. He walked the same gray paths to the conclave spire. Week after week, month after month. The Galactic Council met almost every day, but nothing ever seemed to change. Daniel sat on the cold obsidian seat. Chloe Vance stood behind him, arms crossed, watching everything. Marcus Boone sat near the back, quietly taking notes on his tablet. They listened to endless debates. Arguments about shipping lanes. Disputes over mining rights on dead asteroids. Discussions about trade tariffs that had taken centuries to agree upon. The council moved like a giant ship turning in deep water, barely noticeable, taking forever. "This is how they work," Chloe whispered to Daniel during a break one day. They stood near a window looking out at the empty plains. "They talk until the problem either goes away or becomes too big to ignore. Then they talk some more. Patience is their strength," Daniel said, though he wasn't sure he believed it. "Patience is their shield," Chloe corrected him. "They hide behind it, so they never have to do the hard thing." Daniel saw what she meant. When the small colony world asked for food aid again, the council voted to monitor the situation. When a mining accident trapped workers on a distant moon, they sent observers, but no rescue ships. "Protocol must be followed," the Voran delegate would say, its voice like stones scraping together. "Rash action risks greater harm." One morning, a new crisis arrived. Not a debate about trade routes or tariffs. Real people in real danger. The Sylph. Their ships appeared in Lyra. Seven's orbit old. Battered vessels, leaking air and hope. They were refugees. Their home star was dying, swelling into a red giant, swallowing their worlds. They had fled with only what they could carry. Families crowded onto ships, never meant for so many. Children cried in the cold, metal corridors. The council convened immediately. The Sylph leader stood shivering in the center of the chamber. His skin was pale blue, his large eyes red from lack of sleep. He spoke through a translator, his voice breaking. "We have nowhere else to go. Our children are cold. Our food is gone. Please, give us shelter, just for a little while." Silence filled the room. The Vorin delegate's inner light pulsed slowly. The Nathari delegate drifted lower in its water tank. The Zenthar tilted its head, sharp eyes studying the Sylph leader like a curious bird. "This is a complex matter," the Vorin finally said. "We must consider resource allocation, planetary carrying capacities, the stability of neighboring systems." "Complex?" Chloe's voice cut through the quiet. She stepped forward, ignoring the protocol that said only Daniel should speak for Earth. "Their children are hungry now. What is complex about giving them food and a place to sleep?" The Nathari delegate bubbled softly. "Human, you see only the surface. If we take in the Sylph, we set a precedent. Other refugees may come. Systems may become unstable. Populations may grow beyond sustainable levels. The balance. Chloe's voice rose. "You talk about balance while children freeze? Is that your wisdom? Letting people suffer to keep things balanced?" The Zenthar let out a short, sharp cry. "The young species always mistake speed for strength. Wisdom is seeing the whole web. Human. Pull one thread too hard, and the whole thing tears." Daniel stood. He kept his voice calm, but his heart beat fast. "We propose a simple solution. The Council has unused relief. Ships docked at Sector 7. They are empty. Send them to the Sylph ships. Give food, medicine, temporary shelter. It costs nothing but time." The Vorin delegate's light dimmed. "Those ships are reserved for Council-approved emergencies. This is an emergency." Marcus Boone spoke up, surprising everyone. He rarely talked in sessions. "I've studied your logs. Those ships sat idle for 2 years. While the Sylph died in space weeks ago, you did nothing. Now they're here, begging, and you still do nothing?" A murmur went through the council. The Nathari delegate sank deeper into its water. "Your passion is noted, human engineer, but passion clouds judgment. We must study the data, assess the risks, consult the historical precedents." "How long will that take?" Daniel asked. "Standard procedure requires 30 galactic cycles," the Vorin replied. "Perhaps longer, given the scale." 30 cycles. Daniel did the math in his head. Almost 2 months. The Sylph ships didn't have 2 weeks. The vote was called. The council members signaled their choices with small, glowing stones. 11 lights turned red. 1 Daniel's turned green. The motion to send aid failed. 110 light. The matter is closed, the Vorin declared. We will monitor the situation and reconvene when more data is available. That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. He walked the quiet halls of the human quarters. Chloe sat by a window, staring at the Sylph ships, glowing faintly in orbit. They're sending drones, she said without turning. Automated drones, telling the Sylph ships to leave Lyra. 7 space. No aid. Just orders to go away. Daniel joined her at the window. He saw the small, cold lights of the drones approaching the Sylph vessels. Saw the Sylph ships try to signal, to plead. Saw the drones ignore them, pushing the refugees further out into the empty dark. They call this wisdom, Daniel said, the words tasting like ash. It's not wisdom, Chloe said. Her voice was quiet, but sharp as glass. It's fear. They're scared of making a mistake, so they make the biggest mistake of all, doing nothing. Marcus joined them, holding his tablet. I pulled the numbers. The relief ships could have fed every Sylph person for 6 months. Cost to the council? Less than 1 day's debate time. He shook his head. They don't care. They just want the problem to go away so they can talk about something else. Daniel watched a Sylph ship, a small one, probably carrying families, drift further from safety. A child's face appeared at a viewport for a second, small and pale against the blackness. Then the drone nudged the ship, and it moved away, vanishing into the starfield. We solve problems, Chloe said suddenly. That's what we do. On Earth, if your neighbor's house is on fire, you don't form a committee. You grab a hose. And sometimes you get burned, Daniel said. Better than watching them burn alone, Chloe shot back. The next day, the council acted. Oh, sort of. They voted unanimously to establish a task force to study refugee protocols. They allocated a small room in the spire for future discussions. They felt good about it, like they'd done something important. Daniel sat on the obsidian seat, feeling its cold bite through his clothes. He looked down. The black surface showed his tired face, but also the Vorin delegate behind him, its crystal form glowing with self-satisfaction. The seat didn't just reflect light. It reflected the truth. The council wasn't wise. It was tired, stuck in its ways, comfortable with slow motion, while the universe moved around it. During a break, Daniel walked alone near the spire's outer wall. He saw Naomi Pierce, one of Earth's junior diplomats, talking quietly with Ethan Cole, a communications specialist. They stood apart from the council's main group, speaking in low voices. They're not listening, Naomi said, her voice tight with frustration. I tried to show them the Sylth children's medical records. The Nithari delegate just said, "Data requires context." Ethan shook his head. I intercepted a message from the Sylth ships. Their main life support is failing. They have days, not weeks. Daniel joined them. What are we supposed to do? Just sit here while they die? Naomi looked at him, her eyes fierce. We're humans. We fix things. Maybe it's time we stopped asking permission. And do what? Ethan asked. We're diplomats, not soldiers. We have no ships here, no authority. We have ideas, Naomi said. We have hands. We have the will to help. That evening, Daniel gathered his team in their small living space. Marcus brought his tool case. Chloe brought her notes. Naomi and Ethan came too. The Sylth are dying, Daniel said. The council won't help. So we will. How? Marcus asked. We can't just walk up to their ships. We don't have to, Chloe said. She pulled up a map on her tablet. Lyra, 7 has old maintenance tunnels, unused for decades. They run from under the spire all the way to the orbital docks. If we can get into them. Marcus's eyes lit up. I've seen the schematics. They're tight, but passable. And they lead right to where the Council's relief ships are docked. We take what we need, Daniel said. Food packs, medical supplies, life support modules. Load them onto small shuttles. Meet the Sylth ships in neutral space. That's against Council law, Ethan said. But he was already thinking about comms frequencies. Since when did Council law mean more than helping people? Chloe asked. They planned in whispers. Marcus would disable the tunnel security sensors, simple magnetic fields, easy to bypass with his tools. Naomi would handle the docking clamps on the relief ships. Ethan would jam any signals that might alert the Council. Chloe would navigate the shuttle. Daniel would go with her. It took 3 days to prepare. 3 days of pretending to listen in council sessions, while their real work happened in shadows. Daniel sat on the obsidian seat, nodding at debates about refugee flow management, while Chloe mapped the tunnels on her tablet under the table. Marcus fixed a broken translator drone in the corner, really testing tunnel access points. The night of the mission, the spire was quiet. Most council members had retired to their chambers. Daniel and Chloe slipped into the maintenance tunnels. The air was stale and cold. Their flashlights cut thin beams through the darkness. Pipes ran along the walls, dripping condensation. This is crazy, Chloe whispered, but she was smiling. Human crazy, Daniel said. The good kind. They reached the orbital docks. Marcus was already there, waiting by a small relief ship. Got the clamps loose, he said, wiping grease from his hands. Loaded the shuttle with what we could carry. Food, water, air filters, med kits. They flew the shuttle out in silence, engines on low power. Beyond the safety of Lyra, 7th space, they found the Sylth ships. They were dark, most lights out to save power. The small shuttle docked with the largest vessel. Daniel and Chloe stepped inside. The smell hit them first: sweat, fear, and sickness. The ship was crowded beyond belief. Families huddled on the floor. Children coughed in the thin air. An old Sylph woman grabbed Daniel's arm, her blue fingers trembling. She said something in her language, tears cutting tracks through the dust on her face. They worked fast, unloading supplies, helping medics set up the new air filters, handing out food packs. A little boy, no older than 5, took a pack from Chloe. He looked up at her with huge, dark eyes. He didn't speak, but he hugged the food pack like it was a treasure. Back on the shuttle, heading home, Chloe stared out at the Sylph ships, now lit with a few more lights. "We didn't fix everything," she said, "but we fixed something." "The council would call it reckless," Daniel said. "Good," Chloe said. "Let them call it that. Better reckless than useless." When they returned, they cleaned the shuttle, erased logs, and went back to their rooms. No one saw them. No alarms sounded. The next morning, Daniel sat on the obsidian seat for the council session. The Vorin delegate spoke about maintaining order in refugee situations. Daniel looked down at the black stone. His reflection looked tired. Yes, but different. Stronger. He saw Chloe behind him, her chin held high. He saw Marcus, calm and focused. He saw the faces of the Sylph children. The Vorin delegate finished speaking. "This concludes our discussion on refugee protocols. The matter is closed." Third, Daniel didn't move. He kept his eyes on the obsidian surface. It showed the council members, safe in their routines. It showed him, sitting quietly. But underneath, something had changed. He thought of the little boy holding the food pack, thought of the old woman's tears, thought of the council's endless talk while real people suffered. They just manage symptoms, he realized. The words formed in his mind, clear and cold. They don't solve problems. They just try to keep the pain quiet. Chloe met his eyes across the chamber. She gave the smallest nod. She knew. Daniel Shaw sat on the Galactic Council, and for the first time, he didn't feel trapped by the obsidian seat. He felt sorry for it. Sorry for the whole slow, careful machine that built it. Because humans didn't sit and wait. Humans got up. Humans helped. Humans fixed what was broken. The council droned on, debating procedures, discussing protocols, planning next week's agenda. Daniel sat very still. But inside, he was already moving, already planning the next fix, the next real thing. The next time the council said no, he wouldn't just sit there. He'd find another way. Because that's what humans do. The alarm came without warning. A deep, pulsing sound that shook the walls of the conclave spire. Red lights flashed across the blue chamber. Translator drones buzzed like angry insects. Daniel Shaw jerked upright on the obsidian seat. His heart hammered against his ribs. "What's happening?" Chloe Vance demanded, stepping forward from behind Daniel's chair. Her voice cut through the panic. The lead Voran delegate's inner light flared bright red. "A disturbance in the outer systems," it boomed. "A neutron star. It moves." "Moves?" Marcus Boone asked, already pulling up data on his tablet. "This one does," the Nathari delegate bubbled, sinking low in its tank. Green water sloshed over the edges. Accelerated by unknown forces, it travels fast. Too fast. The Zenthar delegate spread its wings wide, feathers ruffled. "It will strike the Trident systems. 3 worlds. 72 hours. 2. Silence crashed down. 72 hours. Daniel did the math fast. Not enough time to evacuate millions. Not enough time for the council's slow talk. He looked at Chloe. Her face was pale but steady. Marcus's eyes were locked on his tablet, scanning numbers. The Voran delegate spoke again, its grinding voice unnaturally calm. "Evacuation protocols must begin. We will prioritize essential personnel and cultural archives." "Essential personnel?" Chloe's voice cracked like a whip. "The Zenthar proposal is acceptable," the Voran said, ignoring her. "We save who we can. The rest. Accept the balance." Daniel felt the cold bite of the obsidian seat through his clothes. He saw it in his mind, the empty relief ships sitting in dock, the slow-motion debates, the Sylth ships pushed into the dark, history repeating. Faster, this time. Deadlier. "We can stop it," Marcus said suddenly. Everyone turned. He held up his tablet. The screen showed a complex web of lines and numbers. The gravity lens array. The Nathari delegate let out a wet hiss. "That ancient machine, it is unstable, dangerous. We sealed it centuries ago. It bends gravity," Marcus pressed on. "Like a lens bends light. We aim it at the neutron star. Push it just a little. Off its path." "Impossible," the Zenthar delegate squawked. "The energy required." "We have the math," Marcus interrupted. He tapped his tablet. "Human quantum algorithms. They calculate faster. They see patterns your systems miss. We can do it. 78% chance of success." The council chamber erupted. The Voran's light flashed erratically. The Nathari's tank bubbled violently. Zenthar feathers puffed out in alarm. "Recklessness," the Voran boomed. "You risk tearing the fabric of space." 78%? The Nathari bubbled. "You gamble with universal constants for a 2% chance of disaster? Better than 0%, Chloe shouted. "Your plan saves 12% of the people. Marcus's plan saves everyone. The lens array is forbidden," the Voran declared. "Its use violates the foundational treaties. We will not allow it." "Well, he. Done. Daniel stood. The red emergency lights made the obsidian seat glow, like dried blood behind him. Forbidden? Because it's hard? Because it's new? We have the tool. We have the will. Why won't you let us try? Because you do not understand the cost. The Voron's voice shook the translator drones. One mistake, and you unravel the gravity of 10 systems. You could doom more than you save. Then help us do it right, Daniel said. Work with us. Combine your knowledge with ours. Silence. Heavy and thick. The council members looked at each other. The Voron's light dimmed. The Nathari drifted lower in its water. The Zenthar tilted its head, considering. We vote, the Voron finally said. The human proposal, approved or denied. Glowing stones appeared in the council members' hands. 11 turned red. Daniel's turned green. The vote failed. 11-1. The matter is closed, the Voron said, its voice like stone grinding on stone. Evacuation protocols commence immediately. The gravity lens array remains sealed. The meeting broke apart. Council members hurried from the chamber, speaking in urgent whispers. Daniel stayed seated. The obsidian surface reflected the flashing red lights, turning his face into a mask of fire. He saw Chloe's reflection behind him. Fists clenched, jaw tight. Saw Marcus staring at his dead tablet screen, shoulders slumped. They'd rather bury the dead than risk a solution, Chloe whispered, her voice raw. 72 hours. And they're talking about priority lists. Marcus finally looked up. His eyes were red-rimmed but sharp. The array is still there. In Sector 9, the seals are physical. Locks. Sensors. I can bypass them. Daniel met his gaze. You'd have to work fast. And alone. The council will lock down the spire. I'm not alone, Marcus said. He nodded toward the door. Naomi Pierce and Ethan Cole stood there, pale but determined. We've been watching the sensors. The council's focused on evacuation shuttles. No one's guarding Sector 9. Number 10. We were Lawn Tower. It's suicide, Chloe said. But her eyes were already calculating angles. Timing. If the array fails. Which 200? Chloe said. If the array fails. If we do nothing, it's worse than suicide, Daniel finished. He stood up. The obsidian seat felt like a tomb behind him. We do it. That night, the conclave spire buzzed like a kicked hive. Evacuation shuttles clogged the sky over Lyra. 7. Their engines painting the pale yellow sky orange. The council's priority lists played on every screen. Scientists, engineers, leaders first. Everyone else waited in long, silent lines. Daniel sat in the council chamber. Alone. The obsidian seat was cold under him. He watched the screens. Saw a mother holding a baby, shivering in the night air. Saw an old man sitting on a crate, head in his hands. The council called this managing the crisis. Daniel called it giving up. The door hissed open. Chloe entered, followed by Marcus, Naomi, and Ethan. They wore simple gray work suits like maintenance staff. Marcus carried his tool case. Ethan had a small comms box. Sector 9 is clear, Ethan said, his voice low. The council's sensors are blind to that sector. They think it's just storage. We have 6 hours, Marcus added, before the council realizes we're gone, before the neutron star gets too close. What about the array itself? Daniel asked. Can you make it work? Marcus opened his tool case. Inside lay strange, compact tools, human designs. The lens array is like a giant mirror for gravity. It pulls and pushes, but it's been asleep too long. Rusted. Misaligned. I need to recalibrate the emitters. Reset the focus. And the math? Chloe asked. The human algorithms? Marcus tapped his temple. All up here. And on this. He held up a small silver chip. Earth's best quantum code. It'll tell the array exactly where to push. Daniel looked at the obsidian seat. Its black surface showed his face. Tired, scared, but set. It showed the empty council chamber behind him. The place of talk, of waiting, of letting people die to avoid risk. Do it, Daniel said. All of you. I'll stay here. Keep the council busy. How? Naomi asked. I'll be sick, Daniel said simply. A human illness. Very contagious. Very inconvenient. It'll keep them talking about quarantine protocols for hours. Chloe almost smiled. Perfect. While they debate soap and masks, you buy us time. They moved fast. Marcus and Ethan slipped out one door. Naomi followed, carrying a toolkit. Chloe stayed for a second. She placed a hand on Daniel's shoulder. Her touch was warm, real. Don't get caught playing sick, she said. It will be over, Daniel said. They'll succeed. Good, Chloe said. Because if they fail, we're all dead anyway. She left. Daniel sat alone in the chamber. He took a deep breath. Then he started coughing. Loud, wet, convincing coughs. He made his face red. He stumbled to the door and called for help. The council responded fast. A medical drone arrived. Daniel acted weak, dizzy. Human flu, he mumbled. Very bad. Spreads fast. The drone scanned him, beeped worriedly, and called for quarantine. Soon, Vorin and Nathari delegates arrived, arguing about decontamination procedures. This is a security risk. The Vorin boomed. We must isolate the human, the Nathari bubbled. Daniel slumped in a chair, sweating. Sorry, he croaked. Must have caught it from the refugees. He saw the delegates stiffen. They hated loose ends. messy problems. This was perfect. They spent hours debating quarantine zones, air filters, and human biology. Daniel watched the clock. 4 hours gone. Meanwhile, in Sector 9, the gravity lens array filled a vast underground hangar. It looked like a forest of tall, silver towers, connected by thin wires. At the center stood a huge dish, curved like a bowl, pointing up at the sky. Dust coated everything. Marcus worked like a man possessed. He climbed the towers, his tools clicking and whirring. Ethan stood below, feeding him parts through a comms link. Naomi ran cables, her fingers flying. Emitter 7 is fused, Marcus called down. Need bypass. On it, Ethan said, soldering wires with quick, sure hands. The dish alignment is off by 0.05 degrees, Naomi shouted. Too much gravity push in quadrant 3. Fix it, Marcus ordered. I'll adjust the algorithm. He pulled out the silver chip and slotted it into a control panel. Numbers flooded the screen. Human math, fast and sharp, cutting through the Council's ancient, cautious code. Hours passed. Sweat stung their eyes. Muscles ached. The neutron star grew closer, its deadly pull already tugging at Lyra 7's moons. We're running out of time, Ethan said, checking his wrist screen. Star enters critical zone in 2 hours. Almost there, Marcus panted. He was on the highest tower, rewiring the main emitter. Naomi, rotate the dish left. 5 degrees. Slow. Naomi worked the manual crank. The giant dish groaned as it moved. Too slow, Ethan yelled. The star's gravity is messing with our sensors. Then trust your hands, Marcus shouted back. Not the machines. He finished the rewiring. Jumped down. Ran to the control panel. His fingers flew over the keys, feeding the human algorithm. New data. The screen flashed. Recalculating. Trajectory shift possible. 78%. Success. Now we wait, Marcus said, wiping grease from his face. The array does the rest. Back in the council chamber, Daniel's sickness was wearing thin. The Voran delegate loomed over him. Your symptoms do not match known human illnesses, it rumbled. You deceive us. Daniel coughed again, weaker this time. Maybe it's the stress, he mumbled. Watching people die while you talk. The Nathari delegate rippled angrily. Do not twist this, human. Your reckless proposal nearly. A new alarm. Cut it off. Not the deep pulse of before. This was higher. Urgent. The main screen flickered. Showed the neutron star. And the gravity lens array. A thin beam of invisible force stretched from the array's dish toward the star, pushing. What is this? The Zenthar delegate screeched. Who activated the array? Daniel stood up. His legs felt shaky, but his voice was strong. My people. They're saving your worlds. They violated the treaty, the Voran boomed. Shut it down. Now. Shut it down and 3 worlds die. Daniel shouted. "Is that your precious balance?" The council members argued, voices overlapping. The screen showed the neutron star. Slowly, so slowly, it began to veer off course, away from the Trident systems. "It's working," Daniel whispered. He looked at the obsidian seat. Its black surface showed the screen's glow. The star moving. The world safe. It also showed the council members, their faces twisted in anger and fear. Not relief. Not joy. Human recklessness. The Vorin thundered. "You have destabilized the cosmic order." "We saved lives," Daniel said. "That's the only order that matters." The argument raged. The star kept moving. The Trident systems were safe. The array held. In Sector 9, Marcus watched the final numbers. Trajectory shift complete. Success. 78.3%. He slumped against the control panel. Exhaustion hitting him like a wave. Ethan whooped. Naomi hugged him, laughing. "We did it," Ethan said. "We actually did it." Marcus looked up at the dish. It glowed faintly. Spent. "Yeah," he said. "But the hard part's just starting." Back in the council chamber, the shouting stopped. The screen showed messages flooding in from the Trident systems. Grateful. Relieved. Alive. The Vorin delegate turned to Daniel. Its inner light burned cold and hard. "Your actions were illegal. Dangerous. You will face consequences." Daniel looked past it, at the obsidian seat. Its black surface reflected the grateful messages, the faces of saved children, the angry council. "Consequences?" Daniel said quietly. "I'll take them. Every one. Because this," he pointed at the screen, "at the living worlds, is worth it." He walked to the obsidian seat, placed his hand on its cold surface. He felt the hum of the gravity lens array still vibrating through Lyra, Seven's bones. The council had voted no. 11-1. They'd chosen talk over action, safety over hope. But humans didn't sit and wait. Humans got up. Humans fixed what was broken. Daniel turned away from the seat. From the council. He walked toward the door, toward his team, toward the real work. "What now?" Chloe asked, meeting him in the hall. Daniel didn't look back at the chamber. "Now we prepare," he said. "They'll want punishment, blame. But we saved lives. That's the only law that matters." Chloe fell into step beside him. "They'll call it recklessness. Let them," Daniel said. The pale yellow sky outside was clear. Safe. Better reckless than useless. Behind them, in the council chamber, the obsidian seat stood empty. Its black surface reflected only the angry faces of the council and the silent, saved worlds on the screen. Daniel Shaw didn't look back. He had real work to do. The council chamber felt like a tomb. Cold, blue, light. Heavy silence. The air smelled of ozone and fear. Daniel Shaw stood alone in the center of the room. 11 alien delegates watched him from their high chairs. Their faces showed no relief for the saved worlds. Only anger. Cold and deep. "You broke the law," the Voran delegate boomed. Its crystal body glowed red with rage. "You used forbidden technology. You risked universal collapse for your human pride." Daniel kept his voice steady. "We saved 3 worlds. Millions of lives. Isn't that more important than your laws?" "Laws exist for balance." The Nathari delegate bubbled from its water tank. Green liquid sloshed as it moved. "You acted without consensus, without wisdom. You could have destroyed everything." "But we didn't," Daniel said. The math was clear. 78% success. Your plan saved only 12%. Which choice shows wisdom? The Zenthar delegate flapped its blue wings sharply. "Recklessness is not courage, human. It is childishness. You see only the fire you put out, not the forest you burned to do it." Daniel turned slowly. He looked at each delegate. The Voran's cold light, the Nathari's dark eyes, the Zenthar's sharp beak. They saw only rules, not people. The Zenthars, not the mothers holding babies on safe worlds tonight. Not the old men who wouldn't die in cold space. "Where are your people now?" Daniel asked. "The ones you claim to protect with your rules?" The Voran's light dimmed. "They are being processed. For relocation." "Processed?" Chloe Vance's voice cut through the quiet. She stood near the back, arms crossed. "You mean they're waiting in lines, hungry, scared, while you argue about who gets saved?" "The Council acts with care," the Nathari said. "Not haste." "Care?" Chloe stepped forward. Her voice shook with anger. "You turned away the Sylth refugees. You let them freeze. Now you call this care?" "The Sylth were a destabilizing element," the Voran stated. "Their integration risked wider conflict." Daniel felt the weight in his chest grow heavier. He looked down. The obsidian seat sat empty behind him. Its black surface reflected the chamber's blue light and the faces of the council. They looked calm, certain, like they'd done nothing wrong. "You don't care about people," Daniel said quietly. "You care about your balance, your rules, your slow, safe way of doing nothing. We preserve order," the Zenthar screeched. "Order is life itself. Order without compassion is just a cage," Daniel said. He thought of the Sylth child hugging the food pack. "You thought of the Trident System's children sleeping safely tonight. You built this cage around the galaxy, and you locked the people inside it." The Voran leaned forward. Its voice dropped to a grinding whisper. "You will be punished, human. Your seat is revoked. Your delegation expelled. Earth will face sanctions." "Expel us?" Chloe laughed, a short, sharp sound. "We don't want your seat. It's a trap." It makes you blind. Blind to what? The Nathari bubbled. To suffering, Daniel said. To urgency. To the fact that sometimes you have to break a rule to save a life. He pointed at the obsidian seat. That thing isn't a symbol of honor. It's a symbol of your fear. Silence fell, thick and heavy. The translator drones hummed louder. Daniel walked to the obsidian seat, placed his hand on its surface. It was colder than space. It showed his reflection, a tired man in a gray suit, but also the council behind him. Watching, judging, waiting for him to beg. He didn't beg. He turned to face them. You voted against saving those worlds, 11-1. You chose talk over action, safety over hope. You'd rather bury the dead than risk a solution. His voice didn't rise. It stayed calm, clear, like water over stone. But humans don't sit and wait. We get up. We fix what's broken. Your recklessness must be corrected, the Vorn said. For the safety of all. Recklessness, Daniel smiled. A small, sad thing. Recklessness? You call saving lives reckless? Then your wisdom is blindness. Your balance is broken. He looked at Chloe. She gave a tiny nod. Her eyes said, "Do it." Daniel reached into his pocket, pulled out a small tool. It was simple. Silver. No fancy lights. No alien symbols. Just a human fusion torch used for welding ship hulls, fixing broken pipes, mending what was torn. The council didn't understand. The Vorin tilted its crystal head. What is that? What? A tool, Daniel said. For fixing things. He knelt by the obsidian seat, aimed the torch at its base, where the black stone met the floor. The council erupted. Stop! The Nathari bubbled. That seat is sacred. You dare defile the council chamber? The Zenthar shrieked. Daniel didn't look up. He pressed the trigger. A thin blue flame shot out. Silent. Hot. Hotter than a star's heart. It kissed the obsidian. The stone didn't crack at first. It just changed. The black surface turned milky white where the flame touched. Then black again, but bubbling. Melting. A smell like burnt rock filled the air. The Vorin stood up. Its light flashed red. Cease this at once. Daniel moved the flame slowly, tracing a line around the seat's base. The obsidian blackened, cracked, groaned like a dying thing. Molten slag dripped onto the floor, sizzling. You are destroying history, the Nathari cried. I'm destroying a monument to failure, Daniel said. His voice was calm over the hiss of the torch. This seat didn't save anyone. It just made you comfortable while people died. The crack widened. A chunk of obsidian broke off, fell to the floor with a heavy thud. The seat tilted slightly. Daniel kept the flame steady, working around the circle. The molten pool grew. Red hot. Glowing. The Zenthar delegate flapped toward him. "Stop, human, or face the consequences." Daniel finally looked up. His face was streaked with sweat. His eyes were hard. What consequences? Exile? Sanctions? I've seen what your consequences look like. They look like Sylph children freezing in space. He moved the flame to a fresh spot. Do your worst. We've already done the right thing. The seat groaned again. A deep, shuddering sound. It listed further. The black surface reflected the chamber. One last time, 11 shocked faces. Daniel's steady hand. Chloe watching with tears in her eyes. Then it collapsed. Not with a crash. With a slow, grinding sigh. The obsidian seat crumpled like wet sand. Melted stone pooled on the floor. Smoking. Bubbling. The molten slag spread in a rough circle, hardening fast into ugly, jagged rock. Silence. Real silence. No translator drones. No bubbling tanks. No wing flaps. Just the soft hiss of cooling stone. Daniel lowered the fusion torch, turned it off. He looked at the mess. The broken stone. "This," Daniel said, his voice quiet but carrying, "isn't a seat of power. It was a cage. And we're done sitting in cages." The Vorin delegate took a step forward. Its voice shook the room. "You have committed an act of war, human. Earth will pay. Mine." Daniel didn't flinch. "Then pay we will, but we won't apologize for saving lives or for breaking a broken thing." He turned to leave. "Where are you going?" The Nathari demanded. "To help people," Daniel said. "Real work, while you clean up your cage." He walked toward the door. Chloe fell into step beside him. Marcus, Naomi, and Ethan were there waiting in the hall. Their faces were pale, but proud. "Did it work?" Marcus asked quietly. Daniel glanced back. The council stood frozen around the molten slag. It worked. They walked through the spire's halls. Past empty rooms. Past silent drones. Daniel felt lighter. The heavy weight in his chest was gone, replaced by something warm. Something like hope. Outside, the pale yellow sky of Lyra, 7 stretched wide. Evacuation shuttles still filled the air, but now they carried people to safety, not away from it. Messages scrolled on public screens. Trident systems, safe. Gratitude to Earth. A small group gathered near the spire's entrance. Sylph refugees. Their pale blue skin glowed in the twin suns. The old woman from the ship stepped forward. She placed a hand on Daniel's arm. Her eyes were wet. She said nothing, just nodded. Hard. Daniel nodded back. He saw the little boy from the food pack, holding his mother's hand. Smiling. "They're thanking us," Chloe whispered. "While the council plans to punish us." Let them, Daniel said. This is what matters. He gestured at the Sylph, at the screens, at the safe worlds in the sky. That night, the council met again, without humans. Their voices carried through the thin walls of Daniel's room. Angry. Scared. Earth must be contained, the Vorin boomed. Their technology is too dangerous. The Zenthar screeched. Daniel sat by his window. Marcus tinkered with his tool case. Chloe watched the stars. Resiscent, resicentus. They'll cut off our supplies, Marcus said. Good, Chloe said. We don't need their scraps. We have our hands. Our minds. Daniel thought of the obsidian seat. The way it crumpled. The way the molten slag hardened into something new. They think breaking the seat was the end, he said. It was the beginning. None. Beginning of what? Marcus asked. Of us doing things our way, Daniel said. Helping people. Fixing problems. No permission needed. The next morning, Daniel returned to the council chamber. Alone. The room was empty, except for the hardened slag where the seat had been. The council members stood in a tight group, talking in low voices. They stopped when he entered. The Vorin stepped forward. Earth's delegation is expelled. Your ships will leave Lyra. 7 within the hour. Daniel nodded. We'll go. He walked to the slag pile. Knelt. Touched the rough, cooled stone. It was warm under his fingers. Alive with the memory of fire. One thing before we leave, Daniel said. He pulled out a small chisel from his pocket. Not a weapon. A tool. For carving stone. May I? The council hesitated. The Vorin gave a stiff nod. Daniel knelt by the slag. Carefully, he began to carve. Not words. Not symbols. Just a simple shape. Smooth. Clean. Taking shape under his hands. When he finished, he stepped back. In the center of the ugly slag, a small plaque now sat. Carved. Clean. Easy to read. It said, "Here, humanity chose action over authority." The council stared. No one spoke. Daniel turned to leave. At the door, he paused, looked back at the 11 angry faces, at the broken space where the seat had been. You'll rebuild the seat, he said, but it won't be the same. Because we showed you something. Action isn't reckless. It's necessary. And sometimes, breaking a thing is the only way to fix it. He walked out. Chloe and the others waited in the hall. They didn't look back. As their shuttle lifted off, Daniel watched Lyra. 7 shrink below. The conclave spire looked small, fragile. The pale yellow plains stretched empty. Chloe sat beside him. Do you think they'll rebuild the seat? They'll try, Daniel said. But it won't feel the same. Nothing does after you break it. He looked at his hands, still smudged with obsidian dust. Sometimes breaking is the first step to building something better. The shuttle cleared the atmosphere. Stars filled the view. Safe worlds glowed in the distance. Marcus leaned forward. Daniel smiled. A real one this time. Wherever people need fixing. Below them, on Lyra, 7, the council stood around the slag pile. The Voran delegate reached out, touched the carved plaque. Its inner light flickered, confused, uncertain. For the first time in centuries, the conclave spire felt different, lighter, like a cage with the door open. And no one sat down. The human shuttle left Lyra. 7's orbit slowly. Daniel Shaw watched the pale yellow planet shrink in the viewport. The conclave spire looked small now, fragile, like a toy left in the dust. Chloe Vance sat beside him, her hands resting on her knees. Marcus Boone leaned against the wall, eyes closed but not sleeping. Naomi Pierce and Ethan Cole sat near the front, whispering about navigation. "They'll send ships after us," Ethan said. His voice was calm, but his fingers tapped nervously on his tablet. "The council won't let this go." "Let them come," Chloe said. She didn't look away from the stars. "We fixed what was broken. They can't unfix it." Daniel touched the window. Cold glass. Beyond it, the safe worlds glowed. Trident systems saved from the neutron star. He thought of the obsidian seat, the way it melted, the way the slag hardened into something new. They think breaking the seat was destruction, he said quietly. It was creation. Creation of what? Marcus asked, opening his eyes. Of space, Daniel said. Space for something better. The shuttle entered deep space. No council ships followed. No angry messages came. Silence. Daniel expected punishment. Sanctions. Blockades. But the council stayed quiet. 3 days later, a signal arrived. Not from the council. From the Sylph. Their ships gathered near a quiet star system. The message was simple. We need help. They're building a new home, Naomi said, reading the data. Asteroid bases. But their tools are broken. Life support failing. We go, Daniel said. No debate. No votes. Just action. The shuttle changed course. When they arrived, the Sylph ships hung like old lanterns in the dark. Families worked on metal platforms, welding cracked hulls. Children hauled supplies in small carts. The old Sylph woman from Lyra. 7 waved as the shuttle docked. Her eyes were tired but warm. Daniel and his team got to work. Marcus fixed the life support systems with his tools. Naomi repaired the welding machines. Ethan rewired comms. Chloe helped the Sylph children set up clean water filters. Daniel carried crates of food and medicine, his back aching but his heart light. A Sylph boy, maybe 10 years old, tugged Daniel's sleeve. He pointed to a broken solar panel. Daniel knelt. showed him how to realign the wires. The boy's hands were small, but steady. When the panel lit up, he grinned, hugged Daniel's arm, ran off, shouting in his language. Others followed. Soon, Sylph children worked alongside humans, fixing, building, laughing. That night, under the glow of repaired lights, the Sylph elders gathered. You broke their seat to save us. Now you help us build. She placed a hand on Daniel's chest. Will you lead us? Lead a new group? The Open Sky Alliance? Daniel shook his head. We don't lead. We help. You lead yourselves. But the council fears you, another elder said. They say you are reckless, dangerous. Good, Chloe said, joining them. She handed a water pack to a child. Let them fear action. We'll keep doing it. Word spread fast. Other species reached out. The Krellians, once enemies of Earth, sent a message. Your gravity math saved our mining colonies. We have extra tools. Need help moving them? The Zenthar youth, tired of their elders' slow ways, whispered offers of safe docking bays. Even some Nethari scientists contacted Marcus, curious about human algorithms. Daniel's shuttle became a hub, not of power, but of fixing. They moved from system to system, helping where help was needed. No grand plans, no speeches, just hands working, tools sharing, food passing from ship to ship. This is how it should be, Chloe said one evening. They sat on the shuttle's hull, watching stars. No seats, no cages, just people helping people. Daniel nodded. He thought of the obsidian slag. Back on Lyra. 7. The carved plaque. Here, humanity chose action over authority. The council thought breaking the seat would make us enemies, he said, but it made us free. Meanwhile, on Lyra 7, the council chamber stayed empty. The hardened slag where the seat had been sat cold and rough. The 11 delegates avoided the room. They met in smaller chambers now, argued in hushed voices. One morning, the Sylph elders arrived. They stood where the obsidian seat had been. We are building a new home, their leader said. With human help, we invite the council to join. No rules, no seats, just work. The Vorin delegate's light flickered. This is irregular. Irregular is life, the Sylph leader said. You sat for centuries. Now the galaxy moves without you. That afternoon, the council returned to the main chamber. Not to sit, to stand. They gathered around the slag pile. No one claimed a high chair. No one spoke of balance or protocols. They just talked. Standing on the floor, uneven, informal. The human algorithms, a young Vorin scientist admitted. They are efficient. Could we study them? The Nethari delegate rippled in its tank. Our archives hold old designs for the gravity lens array. Perhaps we share them. 8. The Zenthar delegate spread its wings not in anger, but in thought. Maybe speed and wisdom can walk together. No decisions were made that day. But for the first time, the talk felt alive, real, like seeds being planted, not just weeds pulled. Back in space, Daniel's team kept moving. They helped the Krellians move their tools, fixed a broken water farm for the Zenthar youth, taught Nithari scientists how to run human algorithms. Everywhere they went, others joined. Sylth engineers, Krellian medics, Zenthar pilots. A new group formed, not an alliance with flags or leaders, but a net of helpers. Loose, flexible, strong. One day, a council ship appeared. Not a warship, a small transport. It docked gently with Daniel's shuttle. A single Voran delegate stepped out. Its crystal body glowed soft, blue, calm, not angry. "We come with no demands," it said through a translator. Its voice was slower than before, less sure. Only a question. Daniel met it in the shuttle's common room. Chloe stood nearby. Marcus leaned in the doorway. "Why did you destroy the seat?" the Voran asked. "Was it only anger?" Daniel shook his head. "It was love. Love for people who suffer while others talk." He pointed to the viewport. Outside, Sylth children played near a newly built garden. "That seat made you blind. We broke it so you could see again." The Voran was silent for a long time. Its light pulsed slowly. "The slag remains. We have not rebuilt the seat." "Good," Chloe said. "Some things shouldn't be rebuilt." "The council meets on the floor now," the Voran added. "We talk faster. Listen more. It feels different." It paused. "We saved a colony world yesterday, without debate, just action." Daniel smiled. "A small, tired thing." The Voran left with no threats, no sanctions. Just a nod, a silent thanks. Months passed. The net of helpers grew. Ships from a dozen species carried food, tools, medicine. No one kept score. No one asked permission. When a planet's crops failed, help came. When a ship's engine broke, hands arrived. Humanity didn't lead. They just showed the way. See a problem? Fix it. Daniel never sat on a throne again. He sat on crates in dusty ship holds, on rocks near new colonies, on the floor of crowded med bays. Chloe kept her notes on a worn pad. Marcus's tool case got dirtier, heavier, more loved. 1 year after the seat broke, Daniel returned to Lyra. 7. Not as a delegate, as a visitor. The conclave spire looked the same. But inside, the council chamber was different. The slag pile still sat in the center. But now, the 11 delegates sat on simple mats around it. No high chairs, no obsidian mirrors, just beings, talking face to face. The Voran delegate greeted Daniel. "We added something," it said. In the center of the slag pile, a new plaque gleamed, carved clean, in 12 languages. The same words Daniel had carved. Here, humanity chose action over authority. But below it, new words, and we learned to walk beside them. Daniel touched the plaque. Warm stone, alive with use. You rebuilt it. We remade it, the Voran said, with your words and ours. That night, Daniel stood outside the spire. Chloe joined him. The pale yellow sky held 1,000,000 stars. Safe worlds glowed in the distance. They'll never be like us, Chloe said. Slow. Careful. Afraid. No, Daniel agreed. But they're trying to be better. That's enough. He looked at his hands calloused, stained with grease and stardust. We didn't come here to rule the galaxy. We came to fix what's broken and show others they can too. Do you think it worked? Daniel pointed. In the distance, a small ship landed a mix of Sylph and Nathari designs. No council markings, just a simple symbol. A hand holding a tool. People poured out, carrying supplies, laughing. Look, Daniel said. They're already doing it. As they walked back, a young Zenthar stopped them, feathers bright blue. Daniel Shaw? It asked. We need help. A moon base lost power. Children are cold. Show us, Daniel said. No hesitation. No votes. Just action. They followed the Zenthar to a waiting shuttle. Chloe climbed in first. Marcus pulled out his tool case. Daniel paused at the door and looked back at the spire. At the council chamber where the delegates sat on the floor, talking, helping, living. The obsidian seat was gone, but something better stood in its place. Not a throne, not a cage, just space, open, full of light, full of work to do. Daniel stepped inside. The shuttle lifted off. Stars filled the viewport. Ahead, a moon glowed cold and dark, waiting for light, waiting for help. Where to now? Ethan asked, from the pilot's seat. Daniel smiled. Wherever people need fixing. The shuttle flew into the dark. Not alone. Behind it, other ships joined Sylph, Krellian, even a small council vessel, a net of helpers, growing wider, stronger. And when they passed through Allied space, no one called them reckless. No one called them dangerous. They were simply the ones who fixed what was broken. The end.